It was quite a night. Lena?
It sure was. In some analysis now, we are joined by a regular contributor to this newscast, Dr. Fernando Guerra.
Fernando is the director for the study of Los Angeles at Loyola Marymount University and a veteran political observer. Welcome, Fernando. Tonight, we want to start with Donald Trump. He was under attack from all sides tonight. The other candidates hitting him on issues like trade, immigration, Russia, and taxes.
Right.
It appears they're really taking their gloves off now as his numbers slip in the polls.
Right, so he's plateaued in the polls, and now people, he's not taking away from anybody anymore. And if you're at the bottom and you want to rise, you have to take away from him, so they're attacking him. And you could also feel it from the audience. He was booed twice. Once when he talked about his wealth, that he doesn't have to listen to Kasich in terms of, well, you're a candidate, everybody should be listening to each other, but he was, and they booed him on that one. And then he got booed when he talked about Fiorina interrupting everyone. Well, everybody was interrupting everybody. Yeah. Why do you, why do you call out the woman? And there was that sense. And you know, all the antics that he's had before, all the comments, they're the same ones. It's nothing new. There's nothing new attracting voters. And so it was a bad night for him. And I would have to say it was a good night for the four candidates who were at the bottom, and that's Kasich, Rand Paul, and Jeb Bush. Those guys really, I think, did a good job in this debate.
Okay, so speaking of Jeb Bush, his campaign had been struggling, and many say that his poor performances on the debate has really hurt him. So tonight he really came out on the attack, both against Donald Trump and also Hillary Clinton. So you seem to think that worked for him.
I think this was by far his strongest performance, and hopefully, you know, before you can go back up to the polls, you got to stop digging yourself into a big hole. And I think this performance, he stops that. Now, whether he can reemerge again is a different question, but certainly I think he did a good job. He challenged Donald Trump directly on immigration, and he was one of the few ones that kept trying to take it back that, hey, the enemy is not us, but the Democrats, specifically Hillary. And he was doing that as a good, quote-unquote, Republican leader.
Let's talk about Ben Carson. He didn't have high visibility tonight as much as the others. His credibility came up as one of the issues. He got applause when he said, I'm an honest man, and attacked the media. How did he do in managing this issue, and is he still exposed, do you think, by this?
I think he's still exposed. I think it's more having to do with time taking its toll on the issue that is going to recede a little bit. I don't think he put it to bed. I think it'll constantly be an issue. He hasn't really directly answered a lot of the questions, and so especially this performance, it was very flat on his part. He and Donald Trump, the front runners, did not look like front runners throughout the whole debate, and I think that's going to hurt him, and people continue to say, well, he was hesitant because of these personal issues. Maybe we should keep pushing those.
And Marco Rubio, he shot up in the polls 2 weeks ago during the debate. Tonight he clashed a little bit with Rand Paul about what it meant to be a true conservative.
That's right.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think Marco Rubio was doing well. He actually made some strong points, and all of a sudden Rand Paul out of nowhere attacks him that he's not a true conservative given the way he wants to spend money, especially on the military. And it took Rubio by surprise, and I think he never recovered from that. And even the shot of him while Rand Paul is talking about, it kind of exposed him as to, oh, what's he talking about, what's he thinking? And I think Rand Paul had a very good debate, and part of that was how he attacked Rubio and Rubio's inability to really respond to that attack.
Now, you heard a clip of this in Dave's story earlier, and it was Ted Cruz when he said that he would eliminate 5 departments, and he named IRS, Energy, Commerce, HUD, and Commerce, and it was a real oops moment. And it goes, you know, you have to think of Rick Perry in 2012 when he couldn't remember the 3 departments he would eliminate. Do you think this is going to hurt Cruz?
I think this is going to get a lot of social media hits. People are going to be talking about it.
It already has,
He so much hates the Commerce Department that he wants to delete it twice, maybe. But, you know, I don't think it's as bad as Rick Perry, because then Rick Perry recognized that he didn't remember and talked about it. Here he's just going to say, oh, I was going fast, I slipped, you know, very quickly. What would have been devastating is if a moderator had said to him, oh, wait a minute, you said 5, you only mentioned 4, what's the 5th one? And he couldn't recall. That would have been devastating. I don't think this is devastating. It's definitely not going to help him, but it's not as much a Rick Perry moment as we've seen in the what happened to Rick Perry.
Let's talk about the moderators, because in the CNBC debate, they took a lot of heat after that for going into personal issues. Not any of that really tonight. How did they do tonight?
I think they did much better. They had much more substantive questions. Also, they were more substantive answers than previously. Now, a lot of people will say, well, there's still a lot of political debate. It wasn't really substantive, but more so than the previous debate. debates. I think also having the bell, you know, you continuously heard the bell ding, 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 ding.
The Price is Right bell.
Right, exactly. That meant that the moderators didn't have to interrupt and didn't have to seem as rude as they were before. It was a great tactic in a way for preserving the moderators, but I think it was bad for the candidates as a whole because you constantly saw that they were going over time. In the previous debates, they would go over time, but they would be excused. This one, the bell kept reminding the audience that they couldn't stick to their time. Bad for the candidates, good for the moderators.
Okay, and I think our time is up right now too.
Ding, 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 ding.
Thank you
No
so
bell
much.
ring.
No bell. I'm hearing it in my ear. Thank you so much for joining
Thanks for having
us
me.
tonight,
Yeah.
Dave. Thank you as well. Meanwhile, the Democrat candidates are also set to face off this week. You can see that debate live on our sister station CBS 2 on Saturday at 6 p.m. We'll of course have a full wrap up and analysis of the debate right here on KCAL 9 News at 9.